After a 7-hour flight and 30 hours of no sleep, the last thing I needed was for me to pass out from a very, very bad low. But of course, me being me, that's exactly what happened. So yesterday, we arrived in Dubai. I'm currently in Dubai Creek. So I woke up yesterday at 7 a.m., had the whole day at home where I was cooking, cleaning, preparing to leave for our trip. And then we had our flight and I thought I was going to sleep, but my sugars were so messed up the whole day and on the flight that I couldn't really settle. So I didn't end up sleeping on the plane. I was awake for the whole 7 hours. Then there was a delay getting off the plane for another half an hour. Then for some reason, it took us such a long time to get from the plane onto the coach, from the coach to the airport, because they parked the plane in a separate kind of entrance. I don't exactly understand what happened. But basically, by the time we got to the hotel, it was about 26 hours later. We couldn't check in because we arrived at the hotel around 6 a.m. and it was way too early for check-in and they didn't have any rooms available. So that was our luck. And then what we did, we went to the supermarket, we got a few bits just to kind of kill some time. And then we came back to the hotel and 2 hours later, we were able to check in. And I came straight to the room, got all my stuff unpacked. Well, I unpacked my suitcase and got changed basically and went straight to bed. I was like completely zonked. I couldn't stay awake any longer. And whilst I was asleep, I woke up and I was like, oh, something's not right. Like, why am I eating these waffles? So I was like curled up on the bed, sweating. I could feel the bed being wet, but I didn't realize at that moment in time what exactly was happening. Anyway, so I was drenched in sweat, curled up with some wafers next to me that I had gotten from the shops earlier. I didn't know where I was. I didn't know what I was eating at that moment in time. I know now. And I don't know how those even got onto the bed, because the last thing I remember is being curled up in the bed sleeping. So I was like, how did I end up in this position with these waffles on the bed? And I kept trying to reach to eat them and my hand just wouldn't move. Basically what happened for the next hour and a half is my sugars would just continue to drop. I was going in and out of consciousness because, number one, I believe this is what happened. I had too much insulin and not enough food in my system. So every time I would eat, my sugars just kept dropping because the insulin just kept kicking into my bloodstream, I guess. And I just didn't have enough glucose for my body to recover. I kept eating, and this had gone on for about an hour or so, and my sugar would just not raise. So I would eat, it would go up by a tiny bit, and then it would drop straight back down. That was not great. And whilst this was happening, I just kept going in and out of consciousness. I could barely keep my head up. I could barely communicate and speak. I couldn't move. I had to ask my partner to help me get into the bath because I was freezing after you have a sugar crash. Most of you guys know, if you're a diabetic, you guys know that once you have the sweat and you're very, very hot, then you get extremely cold and you start shivering. And I was at that point. And so I had said, bath, bath, bath. That's all I could say, just bath, help a bath. And so he ran the hot water for me and put me in the bath. I was a wet fish. I just couldn't move, couldn't speak, couldn't really eat. But that was my first day back. The reason why I think this happened is two things. Obviously, I hadn't had much to eat because we were flying, it was nighttime, and I had too much insulin in my body. So what I should have done is I should have taken less Levemir, which is my long-lasting insulin. I should have eaten more, and I shouldn't have done any corrections because my body went up, because my blood sugars went up to 16, and I did a few units correction, and then I did more insulin because my sugar didn't drop like 3 hours later. So I think just all my insulins ended up stacking, and that's why the low happened so much later on, and that's why it just kept on crashing and wouldn't come up. And the other thing is, number two, is because I think I was extremely tired. 30 hours without sleep is a very, very long time to go without rest. And not only just having a low obviously tires you out and your body slows down massively, but then without sleep, I think that just made the recovery much slower, much longer, and much harder. So that was my takeaway from this experience. Next time I'm flying, I'm just going to watch what I eat and make sure, maybe reduce my Levemir a little bit so I don't have so much insulin in my bloodstream. But now I'm in Dubai. The weather is absolutely beautiful. The view from our hotel room is lovely. Let me just show you guys. I'll flip this round, one sec. Like, look at that, you know? It's so beautiful. I love it. Now I'm just going to try and regulate my sugars a little bit more. Normally, heat does affect my sugars slightly just because I dehydrate quicker. And if you're not hydrated, your sugars can go up quite a lot, at least for me. So I'm trying to stay hydrated, eating a little bit cleaner than I normally do when I'm away. Today I had a steak with corn and some salad, and then I needed something sweet. So I had some choco or cocoa. They're like the Cocoa Pops, but they're not Cocoa Pops. They're like, look like little half boats. And that was kind of like my carbohydrates for the day. But yeah, just trying to still figure it all out. It was a bit of a hard low. And after this low, I really zonked out for I actually think I slept for 6 hours after that low happened. And then I went to sleep again for the night at 11 o'clock because it completely wiped me out. When I have these lows, like bad lows, it kind of really tires me out for the next few days. I feel like it takes me about 2 to 3 days to recover. But the problem with me is that I keep having lows. So my body is just constantly tired, but it is what it is, you know? So yeah, that was my lesson learned from yesterday.